Hi there, welcome back to the Anime Hime podcast. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode. I really appreciate it. In this week's episode, we will be talking about the other half of the winter anime that I finished recently and looking ahead at the other half of the spring anime that I didn't cover in the last episode. Hi there, and welcome back to the Anime Hime podcast. I'm Sky, your host. Thank you for joining me, where I talk about all things anime, cosplaying, and convention going. And thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We're going to jump right in, but of course, we're going to start out with a question. The question is, what is your least favorite anime that you've seen and completed? For me, it's definitely A Girl and Her Guard Dog, animated by Studio 9. Studio 9 also animated and produced bottom tier character Tomozaki, My Stepmom's Daughter is My Ex, and Senpai is an Otokonaku, which is coming out in July 2024. So that was kind of a surprise, seeing that they completely missed the mark with A Girl and Her Guard Dog. It was a 5.7 on Mal, but honestly, I think I'd rate it a 2.2. The characters are awful. The animation is not good. It does not maintain quality throughout the entirety of the show. Like, there are probably one or two episodes where it looks decent, and the rest of it is choppy and a lot of still frame shots with no context as to like why that keeps happening. The plot is awful. The music is surprisingly okay. I didn't know this as I was watching the show recently. I covered it in my last episode, Dosanko Gals. The last episode that I watched, the last episode that I recorded, where I covered Dosanko Gals, the OP, the artist for the OP in Dosanko Gals actually does the OP in this anime, A Girl and Her Guard Dog, as well. So that was surprisingly okay. And honestly, that's probably where the average doesn't fall short for my rating of a 2.2. The OP was really good, and honestly, it's the only bright spot in the whole show. The ending song is catchy enough, and I like the electric guitar riff in the beginning of the song. But for a Yakuza story, the characters are honestly all kind of pussies, especially Kea and Tanuki. I know Tanuki's a teenager himself as well. Well, not as well. Kea isn't a teenager. You just need. I'm not even gonna recommend you go watch the show. There's like an age gap of 11 years, and basically Kea's like portrayed as a guy who has been in love with Isaku the whole time he's been raising her, ever since she was put into his care. And there's literally a shot in the story, in the anime, where he picks her up, looks at her as a toddler, and he goes, "I'll be there for you forever. I'll be your boyfriend, your mom, your father, your friend, your brother. I'll be all of it." And it's like, bro, I know things are a little bit different in Japan, but that's weird. You're her guardian, and you want to be her brother and her boyfriend and her mom? What? It's just too disturbing. It's a terrible story. It's creepy and gross, and they showed him being attracted to Isaku as a toddler. So yeah, it's a 2.2 out of 10 for me. I will say, yeah, that show, not my vibe. Really disgusting. 2.2 out of 10. Let me know what you think of the show, and let me know what your least favorite anime is. Leave it in the comments. Moving on to the winter 2023 anime that I completed, part 2. Moving on, we got bottom tier character Tomozaki, season 2. This was a continuation, and basically with this, I'll go over the plot. I'll rate the plot, I'll rate the music, I'll rate the animation, the characters, and the fan service. I'll rate them all out of 10, take an average, and that will be my score that I deliver for each show that I review. So, moving on with that, the plot for bottom tier character Tomozaki season 2 essentially continues on from season 1, with that being, there are no written rules. The real world is harder for gamer Tomozaki Fumiya, but he's about to get the experience he needs from a seasoned player. It kind of still sounds like the season 1 synopsis as well, but it's pretty straightforward. I would say that they definitely meet the expectations with the plot synopsis. Tomozaki expands on his existing and non-existing relationships with other characters and properly learns more about the game of life and unravels what it really means to be a player in the first person and in the third person. You're kind of you kind of go through a little journey with Fumiya, with Tomozaki in this show, and you really get to see like why for some people it's really hard to just like accept that like you have to actually try at life. Like it's one thing to like live life and just be a being that's on this planet, but then to actually like go into like the effects of what happens if you do and if you don't, and like from which perspective are you living your life. You really go into all of that with this show. And I think that I love the show a lot because as a person that has like bouts of depression, it's very uplifting in the sense that like you get to better understand the way life works and understanding like why all of that effort overall is important in all aspects. So I honestly rate this category a 5. Moving on to the music, we got the OP, which is called Easy Hard, Shikasite Susume. Yeah, Easy Hard Shikasite Susume by Dialogue Plus. Yeah, I really like the OP. I think that the opening and the ending songs, there were 2 ending songs. The first one is Dareka Janaid Kara by Dialogue Plus as well, and then Friend Fanfare by Dialogue Plus. They do all the music for the show, which I think is actually pretty cute. And they all have an arcadey, gamery type feel to them. And I feel like that goes along with the plot of Tomozaki being a literal gamer. That's like the whole premises of like why they're basically trying to teach him how to like live the game of life, play the game of life in game format. I think that's pretty cool. I also like how Dialogue Plus does the music for the whole show. I already said that. And I also don't really know when these came out, but they also have songs for all the girls in their show. And they're sung by their voice actors. So I think that's a really cute touch. I love shit like that. And it kind of like just makes the show that much more enjoyable. It gives it another layer of depth, especially if you can understand Japanese. I'm working on it. But as I don't really understand the lyrics, just listening to them, I really go off with the vibe that I hear. And I would say like each song really fit the vibe of each character, obviously because it's also done by their voice actors, voice actresses. But yeah, it was a really great little tidbit that was something that I was something that I saw when I was learning about the music and like trying to like listen to the music while I was like reviewing the show. I pretty much have the opening songs and the ending songs on repeat as I'm writing about each one, and then I just move on to the next 2-3 songs or whatever and have that on repeat. I am going to rate this a little bit lower than my initial thought, though, because all the music kind of sounds the same. So I wouldn't add them all to the playlist for this reason alone. And therefore, I give it a 7.75 for this category. Moving on, it's going to be pretty straightforward for the animation. I really like the art style in the show. Studio Number 9 clearly put a lot of love into making the show look amazing, and I thought it looked consistent throughout the entire show. The colors were beautiful, and I just really like how they portrayed the high and the low points. I feel like there were a lot of like directing choices that went into this that made it a little bit more impactful. So I give this category an 8. The characters. Multiple facets to these characters and their emotional awareness in this show automatically earn it a 9. This isn't your empty-hearted high school slice of life anime. If you think it is, you're in for a world full of hurt, because they go through some pretty deep topics in this show. They handle all of the relationships in the show really well, and you even get to see Tomozaki himself interact with pretty much everyone in the show, some being in very unexpected ways. I will say, I love this like subcategory for picking characters and like rating this, because I get to talk about best boy and best girl. And I went through a lot of debate when watching the show as to like who is best girl, who's best boy, because like as I said, it's like one of my favorite aspects of picking the characters to talk about and rate. This one was really hard because I mean Aoi is like the one that teaches Tomozaki how to live, you know, and then we have Tama Tama-chan, who's basically like this short petite little girl who's like super standoffish at first, but then she learns how to like soften herself, and really she does this by imitating her best friend, who I pick as best girl, Minami, Mimimi is the best girl. I think she is unfortunately an underdog in this show. And I really just wanted her to have one win. I just wanted her to have one win. If you finish the show, you know what I'm talking about. I feel like she and Tomozaki would have made a really great couple. They're definitely my favorite couple in this aspect of the show. And yeah, I mean, she always finds herself and she always stays true to herself the whole time, especially in this season. Like, she never really sways. Like, in the first season, you see her sway a little bit in herself and in her confidence. But this show, this season, she did not have that moment. And once she realized she liked Tomozaki, she came on hard. And she didn't stop until he put the brakes on the whole situation, which just kind of broke my heart a little bit. I feel like she deserved to win, but that's just not where it went, and that's okay. And I will say that it wasn't a pity vote. I feel like she was genuinely a good pick for best girl, and Tomozaki is definitely best boy, but I'm not going to talk about him. He's the main character. So I give this category a 9, again, because of how I feel like they portrayed all of the different characters and their relationships, and Mimimi being her bright and cheery self. Moving on to the fan service category rating. I'm pretty sure there was 0 fan service in this whole show. It was all love and angst and youth. And over here, I really didn't see any need to rate it anything but a 10. 10 means that there's no fan service, and 1 means that it's, Yarichin Bitch Club or something. Like, that show would be like a -2 on the fan service category. But yeah, so there was no crazy fan service in the show, so I give it a 10. After averaging it out, I get an overall score of 8.65, which I'm happy with. I was happy to give this to that show because I really enjoyed it. And I mean, it can be educational. If you're learning about life, you need a self-help book, this show is the perfect self-help book. So yeah, and it has a 7.07 on Mal. So not too crazy far off. Yeah. Moving on to 7th time loop. Riche Weitzner finds herself in a familiar situation. Her fiancé is publicly breaking off their engagement, and her ducal family is about to disown her in shame. However, Riche is not distraught. She's already had 6 chances to rebuild her life and chase a different passion each time. She would always get swept up in a war and die. So now she wishes for her 7th reincarnation to be easygoing and uneventful. What Riche does not take into account is the presence of Arnold Hine, the crown prince of the Galkine kingdom. He is destined to usurp the throne and become a tyrant who starts a large-scale invasion of neighboring countries. To make their encounter worse, Arnold is the one who killed Riche in her previous life, her 6th life. That is why it is all the more shocking when he proposes to Riche on the spot. I thought that moment was so crazy. I was like, oh, you want her because she's a little crazy? Okay, whatever. She considers accepting Arnold's proposal and discovers the reasons why his brutal actions. Wait. That is all the more shocking when he proposes to Riche on the spot. In pursuit of her desired life, Riche must consider accepting Arnold's proposal and try to discover the reasons behind his brutal actions to stop the war from ever happening. With the plot being so crystal cut, we really just see her being exactly what she didn't want to be, a prominent figure in the country of Galkine, and being an adversary to those who come into her life from her previous lives. She's organizing things, she's a matriarch, she's teaching all of her maids, she's learning how to fight, which is her choice. She did choose to learn how to fight based off of the standards of Galkine's soldiers, their army, but it was anything but an easygoing, carefree life. And I really rate this category based off of what the synopsis gives me and then what the show portrayed. And nothing was easygoing about her life other than going to pick out her ring with her soon-to-be husband, which was also a super cute moment. But yeah, I mean, it was okay. The category, like, I think I have to give this one a 6.75. I can't even give it a 7 because she really didn't achieve the goal that she wanted in this season. Maybe we see her after the season, after settling everything and preventing, a freaking almost like mass shooting of black smoke on her country, on the town. Maybe after all that, she does finally kick her feet up and relax and sip her Mai Tais, but I don't think that happens anytime soon. So I have to give it a 6.75 just because they didn't really make good on their promise. Moving on to the music, the OP was called Another Birthday by Shunichi Toki. And the endings, we got 2 endings. So the original ending, the first ending is the original song, the opening song. And the second one is Kienai by The Binary. I think with how almost chaotic Riche's character is and how powerful and kind of violent Arnold is in the show, the music almost falls short for me here. They're great shows, but they don't really make me think of the show out of context, and they don't really get me excited to watch the show. Kienai is like almost a more instrumental type of song. I don't think I could be completely wrong. I don't even remember if it had words. Like, it was just so subtle and smooth to me. And then Another Birthday, the opening, again, it didn't really get me excited to watch the show. It was very lullaby-ish, but they were not bad. They were not bad songs. Just not really what I was expecting for a show about a girl who's lived 6 lives, wants to live a carefree life, and then doesn't. And her husband's like a mass murderer, essentially. So because they were still good songs, I give it a 7. Moving on to the animation, again, I don't really have too much here, but I thought the show looked amazing. It's conducted by Studio Kai and Hornets. Studio Kai has done Horimiya and Super Cub. I love Super Cub. It's like a slice of life, cute girls doing cute things anime about motorcycle girls. Give it a watch. It's on Crunchyroll. I love it, and I highly recommend it. And then Hornets, the only one that I thought was a little notable here was Somali and the Forest Spirit. Not one that I've checked out, but it sounds interesting based off of like the quick little read that I did about it for the sake of this episode. So they worked on those anime, and that was just a little reference for you. I thought that it was animated very beautifully, especially the intimate moments with Riche and Arnold. I like how they really played with light and dark in this show. And I just thought that it was really well done. So I give it, again, a 7.75 just because, there's always room for improvement, but it wasn't anything that looked mind-blowing. We got some mind-blowing anime this season, that visually mind-blowing. And it was good. It was amazing. It looked really pretty, but it's a 7.75 for me. The characters, moving on. Despite what I think about the plot, Riche is an amazing female main character with an amazing determination and desire to live every life of hers through studying and learning and being an academic and being strong physically and emotionally. Throughout her life, she's been a merchant, an apothecary, an alchemist, a maid, a hunter, and even disguised herself as a man to be a soldier in her 6th life. I think that perfect tenacity is amazing, and she wants to now kind of take a step back given her current predicament in her 7th life. She's kick-ass, and I think she deserves a break. Arnold, however, seems like a stubborn old man in the body of a handsome, strong, mysterious prince. He definitely has some trauma that I think Riche will help him through. And hopefully with doing that, she unveils the reason he had to die. She had to die in every life, essentially, because of him. I hope she tells him one day that she's been reborn so many times. Like, I would be afraid. No matter how amazing and, carefree her life could potentially be with him, I'd be afraid to marry the man whose extreme anger issues, almost, it seems like, caused me to die 6 times. I don't think I'd be so quick to accept that proposal, but that's just me. She's a little chaotic, as I've already said, so maybe that is her style. I hope she tells him though, because I think he deserves to know that his actions do indeed have consequences, especially because you can tell he starts to actually develop true feelings for her. I think that's important to note. I think that the little brother, though, I gotta I gotta take a second to prepare myself because the little brother was so annoying. I did not like his character. I thought he was I thought he was obnoxious. I thought that he loved his brother so much, but he would just create a plot to get himself killed by angering him. Like, that's like the most extreme tsundere shit I've ever heard of. I know I talk about tsunderes a lot in this show. I really love them. I think they're super adorable. I almost kind of consider myself one. Sorry to my boyfriend. But I feel like he didn't really have to like go about showing his love in such a weird extreme way, but that's just me. I think the best boy is the Prince Kyle because he was willing to die to get assistance for his country. I think that's astonishing, and I think it's amazing that he was willing to put himself in that predicament, even though he knew he was actively annoying the violent prince, and at first had nothing in mind even to offer him for his protection. He just went up there with his hands shackled. He was like, "Please, can you please help my country? We need your help." And he's like, "No." He's like, "But please." And he just kept asking and asking and asking. He got Riche involved, which, like, I feel like, again, to the prince, like, the main prince, Arnold, he probably would have seen that as insulting. Like, you need a woman's help to get my permission to help you. And it's like, that, I feel like that's just the type of, like, mindset he had at some point. And, yeah, I don't know. I feel like he did not like him very much. I mean, we know he didn't like him very much, but I feel like he didn't like that he got Rishi's help with this situation either. I also feel a little obligated to give Rishi the best girl spot because she's such an obvious pick. She's so cool and independent and striking. It's hers without a doubt, but it feels a little wrong. There weren't really too many other notable female characters in the show. Despite her being such an awesome lead, you would think, especially with airing during Women's History Month, that you would have like at least another female main character that wasn't the maid that had like 2 episodes she was like a part of and then kind of dips and isn't really mentioned later on. I thought that was kind of weird. So characters, I give it an 8 just because Riche is freaking awesome. Fan service, lots of hand kissing, lots of sweet touching, but nothing perverse or disturbing, so it gets a 10 for me. After averaging it all out, it gets a 7.9. It gets a 7.54 on Mal, so I think that's a pretty accurate depiction of how it should be rated. The next show, I was super surprised by this show by the end of it. It was a little slow for me at first, but as I continued to watch, it grew on me more and more. And by the time I ended the show, I was just like super, super looking forward to another season because, yeah, I really loved the show, and it's called The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic. For the plot, Ken Usato, an ordinary high schooler, wishes for something fantastical to occur in his unremarkable life. Such an opportunity arrives when he's transported to another world alongside Kazuki and Suzune, 2 prodigious members of the school's student council. Arriving in Linger Kingdom, the 3 are deemed to be the heroes and are asked to stop the impending invasion by the Demon Lord's army. However, this is a misunderstanding. Usato was summoned by accident, and unlike his 2 friends, is not one of the heroes. Despite this disheartening revelation, Usato learns he has an aptitude for the extremely rare healing magic. This catches the attention of Rose, the very intimidating captain of the kingdom's rescue team, who forcibly takes custody of Usato to mold him into a full-fledged healer. He undergoes grueling training under Rose's supervision, and Usato revolves to become capable enough to protect his friends from the dangers of this world. This show, you could hear me laughing throughout reading that plot. It was so funny. I really loved Rose and Usato's dynamic in this. I'm not going to talk about the characters right now because I'll get carried away. But I think this story is really well thought out and has a really distinct beginning, middle, and end that make it a great show to pick up. It's definitely one of my favorites for this winter season, and I loved watching it again while it was kind of a slow burn for me at first. I learned to love it and I'm eager for a continuation. Usato definitely rises to the occasion in this above average isekai and learns how to meet the expectations sucker punched at him by his leader Rose. The category rating I give for this one is an 8.5. Moving on to the music. Now, before I go into it, this is exactly what I mean by anime openings, anime music that gets me excited to watch an anime. It matches the show super well, and I think it has almost like Naruto Shippuden vibes to it, maybe even some OG Naruto vibes, like Bluebird. It really reminded me of Bluebird. And the opening song is called Cure by Waterweed, and I love the singer's voice and the drumming in this OP. The drumming is outstanding. It's very anthemy, and it is a fun song I listened to on a road trip to a con for sure. It definitely immediately made the playlist, and I might even be a Waterweed fan going forward. They're really energetic, and I'm looking forward to listening to more. The ending song is called Greed Jade by Cho Cho. Her voice in this song is so beautiful and precise. It carries on the feeling of like amping you up, and I really enjoy listening to it. Yeah, Green Jade Cho. Yeah, definitely makes you feel like excited and energetic to continue the show, which I feel like makes it a really good binge. If you didn't pick it up last season, definitely give it a go, give it a try. Yeah, the music alone is an 8, and yeah, I recommend it. Animation. But yeah, solid animation. 10 out of 10 color choices. Like, I think that was a perfect pick for her eyes. I will say Studio A, who designed and animated the show, they are outstanding. They have done so many different shows that I didn't even know they were a part of. They produced and created Dangers in My Heart, season 1 and 2. So they've been active. They also did Teasing Master Takagi-san, the Snow White Notes, which is a great anime about a high school shamisen player. Shamisen is a Japanese instrument, a traditional Japanese instrument, and it has great music. Go check it out. They also did this winter, The Boss's Day Off. I didn't check it out, but I've heard good things. And most importantly, they created the show Sweetness and Lightning. If you don't know anything about Sweetness and Lightning, I'm so sorry. I don't really know where you can go to find it right now. It's a 10 out of 10 anime. It's probably in my top 10 anime. Basically, it's real quick. It's an anime about a single dad and his toddler who don't know how to cook really, but one of his students from his school, he's a teacher, teaches them at her family restaurant. And it's basically about eating good food, being a good dad, and like just getting to know his student a little bit more. And it's such a cute show. It's funny, and I am so mad Crunchyroll took it off of their site. I think they should have kept it on. It's probably a really great starter anime. And yeah, Studio A knocked this show out of the park. With all that being said, they've been keeping busy, and they did not let up on the animation quality for the show. I really hope their staff wasn't overworked. I didn't hear anything about them being overworked, so I'm assuming it wasn't another like Jujutsu Kaisen and Mappa situation. That was crazy. So with that being said, I give the animation a 9 for this category. Moving on. The character design really came through in a lot of the color choices and personality combinations in this show. I felt like each character's personality was like highlighted and like emphasized with different little combinations that you would have throughout the show. And I know that's the case with really anyone in life, but this really came through in this show. Like for example, I think Usato talking to Inukami versus Kazuki versus Kazuki and Celia. And real quick with Kazuki and Celia, I really love how they never actually give a direct highlight on their relationship, but if you pay attention, you can definitely see them developing a relationship together, which I loved. Another interaction that you get that's super adorable with everyone in the show is Bluting is how they said it in the show. I only watched the sub, so excuse me if I if I kind of mess up a pronunciation every once in a while, but Bulurin is interacting with literally everyone in this show. And yeah, I mean, everyone's like Moe's side comes out when hugging him and cuddling him. He's such a cute little bear. I think, though, with that being said, my favorite dynamic in the show is Rose and Usato. Her love for her teammates comes out in very volatile and explosive ways, but she does it with love, and she does it because she cares. And I think that's the best part about her. She's definitely one of the more charming parts of this show. She's a great captain, and she really cares about the healing team. That makes her best girl in my opinion, and Usato is definitely best boy. He rises to every occasion, and he wants to protect everyone that he can with his powers, and that's definitely possible. I mean, he even won that battle for Linger Kingdom and was able to actually protect his friends, which he foresaw them basically dying with the fortune that the fox girl gave him. They died, and he made it so that they didn't. So I just think he's best boy for that, and I rate this category an 8.5. Moving on. I honestly say for the fan service, I was going to give it about a 9, but then Unukami decided to make her hentai mindset everyone's issue, talking about S&M and like just all this crazy shit that was really entertaining, not too out of pocket, but it was still there, so I gotta talk about it. That and alongside Helm getting kicked around by Rose at the very end of the show, I mean, that counts, right? She was literally ass up at many aspects in that last episode. So I think maybe for this category, I'll give it an 8 because there's, again, nothing too distracting, but it didn't really come out until the second half of the show, really. Yeah, 8, a solid 8, an 8.0. And overall, after averaging it, I gave it an 8.4. And comparing it to Mao's 7.57, I think that's pretty spot on. I mean, I really enjoyed the show, and I thought the animation was spectacular. So that definitely carries, and the music is great, too. Go give it a listen. Go give a Waterweed a listen. They're really cool. Moving on. Dr. Elise. I need to pause and pee. So that was the wrong way to use healing magic. And moving on, we're going to jump right into Dr. Elise. I think this is what you would qualify a double isekai. I don't think we've seen a whole lot of other double isekais. And with that being said, I'm going to get right into the plot. In her first life, the renowned ingenious surgeon Aoi Takamoto was Elise de Clorence, a villainess of noble descent. Elise's selfishness, insolence, and obsessive love for her fiancé, Prince Lyndon de Romanov, led to deaths of her family members and eventually herself. Only after being reborn did Elise realize the error of her ways and decide that instead of ruining lives, she would devote herself to saving them. But a tragic airplane crash robs her of her dreams too soon. By a miracle, Elise wakes up in her original body before her official engagement to Lyndon, recognizing the chance to cherish her loving family and free Lyndon from an unwanted marriage. Elise wishes to use her advanced and medical knowledge to continue down the path of saving lives. In a deal with the Emperor, Elise is given only 6 months to prove that her true place is not on the throne, but rather with the wounded and ailing who desperately needed her help. That being said, she definitely wants to become a surgeon, a doctor. She definitely wants to be able to do this, but the only really altercation that she has in order to achieve this is with the king, who previously died in her first life. She basically was kind of forced into having to prove that she could be a doctor versus like just going off and being a doctor. And I guess he is the king, but it was kind of annoying how she just did everything she was told to in this whole show. Like, you had the power to live your first life as yourself, live your second life as a doctor in the real world, like what you would dare say is just straight up Japan. and then she dies again, is reborn again as her previous self, but like pre-time skip version, if we can give it that term. And like all of that interesting drama in the beginning, and I was kind of bored during this show. Like I literally had to sit down and make myself finish the last almost 3 episodes just to record this episode for y'all, because it wasn't bad, but it was very straightforward. Like, prove yourself and be a doctor, and she like does, but it's like super underwhelming. And yeah, she just like straight up does whatever she's told. So it wasn't really that she was an amazing main character, it's just that she was an amazing doctor. And I mean that's an amazing feat all on its own. But yeah, she could have just said, yeah, sorry, Kingy, I'm not doing it. That's not happening. And just politely bowed out and dipped. But he like insisted. So whatever. I give it a 6 for the plot. The music, I really did like the music. But yeah, the music was really great. The OP is called Believer by Yui Ishikawa, who is the voice actress for Elise. I love when they do that shit. Like when they have the voice actors and actresses like sing the songs as their characters. They also do that really, really well in A Duke of Death and His Maid. Season 3 coming out pretty soon. Hey, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I mean, it makes you excited to watch the show, and it gives like isekai vibes. Like the sound of the song gave itself isekai vibes, if that makes sense. It wasn't anything too unique or original, but I really enjoyed it, and I wouldn't skip it every single time, but I would skip it sometimes. And again, it's sung by her voice actress, which makes it that much more fun. She has a really good voice. I was really surprised that it was her. Once I realized. The ending song is called "Listen" by Maju Arai. Her voice is very talented, and she has a lot of trill in her voice, I think naturally. She makes it sound like it's nothing, so I assume that it's natural. A trill is like a type of vibrato. It's like when like your voice does like the shaking thing as you sing. And again, she does it like it's nothing, and the instrumentals are very pretty as well. It feels like very girly, and I just love that vibe for this show. I feel like this is exactly what the show needed, and it fits the show very well. I give it an 8 for the music category. Moving on, the animation category. So I would say that the animation wasn't anything super crazy to me, but it didn't look bad ever. The colors were really cute in the show, and anytime there was a surgery, it was done splendidly. It looked perfect, like you're actually watching someone perform surgery, like a real person. It was so good I had to look away at times. This is not a show that was afraid of showing open flesh and blood, so if that's something that you can't handle, this might not be your show. She is a literal surgeon. Yeah, I mean, and there were times that I felt that it looked a little too simple, and it almost took away from the key moments in the show outside of like the surgery parts of the show. It was worked on by Studio Maho Films. Other notable works of theirs are I'm Standing on 1 Million Lives and By the Grace of God, and I Am the Villainess, So I'm Taming a Final Boss, which is like another capable type blonde hair main character that who also the show gives like otome game vibes. I love otome games. I like shows that are based on otome games. I like shows that give otome game vibes. In this show, Dr. Elise definitely did. Just based off of like all the different actions she had to decide to take, and just like how drastic those choices that she made had on the show. It gave that type of vibe. So I really like that aspect to it. Yeah, Maho Films. Those are some of their previous works, and I think they did a really good job. There are moments where it could have been better. Again, like I said, it felt a little simple, but I give them their credit because they're also working on I'll Become a Villainess, who that will go down in history. They love their villainous reincarnation type shows. Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't the whole title. I'll Become a Villainess that'll go down in history. The more of a villainess I become, the more the prince will dote on me. Wow, that's a mouthful. That's a long title. That took up almost 2 whole lines of my notes. iPad tab. That's coming out this fall and actually is an Isekai Otome game with a Truck-kun origin story. We get more Truck-kun. I love when they include that trope. I think it's just like, I love when anime tropes continue on for eras and eras. Like, it's not gonna ever die down. So I'm interested in Maho films. I'm interested in that show. But we're not even gonna talk about fall right now because we're not even ready to talk about summer right now. And summer is already looking pretty stacked. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, Maho films, they did pretty good. I give it a 6.75. Moving on to the characters. I was kind of conflicted. I like Elise. She's another like multifaceted, determined female main character in the season. She never stopped believing in herself, even though it was hard. And all the characters go through such a big change in their thinking and perspectives that it changed the outlook of the show almost every time, especially her. Every time she decided to do something, like I said previously, it had a major effect on the show. And she could have just not taken action. Like, she could have let that one noble woman died, and it probably would have had a great effect on the show. Same with the king. Obviously, he's the king. Previously loved Elise and Lyndon's relationship throughout the show. He couldn't originally care less about her in her first life, but then after she is reborn in her third life, essentially, it kind of alters his perception of her. And I think with her having more emotional depth as being Aoi in the original, in her second life, the real life, yeah, I mean, I think he really starts to fall with her after she gains more emotional depth and awareness and just like stops shitting on people. Yeah, I mean, especially the fact that she stopped shitting on Julian. Julian was always in love with the prince, and so therefore I feel like that was probably part of the reason why she and Elise did not get along. But once they kind of set their differences aside, they really became the best of friends. And that being said, Julian is a part of the child family, and I really didn't like how they made the child family black, considering that they were so hated without any real reason as to why they were hated. It was just like, oh yeah, don't talk to those childs. Oh no, yeah, they're kind of, don't talk to them, and they're all black. So it's like, man, y'all, like the one time we get some representation and it's like, don't talk to them. But why? Who knows? Don't talk to them. It's like, that was annoying. We didn't need that. Anyways, yeah, they overcame that and became great friends, which I thought was pretty cute. Best girl is definitely Elise. Best boy is Dr. Graham, actually. I feel like that came out of left field. But yeah, he admitted that he was wrong for judging Elise at first and realized how impressive she actually was. And immediately after, like, started treating her with respect and stopped kind of like looking down on her to the point that she pretty much like took over that whole hospital. Like, when the king was under, she just like walked in there, like she was like, give me all the information. And she just like walks in, she's like, what's up? Give me all the info. And they're just like, this is what happened and I don't know what to do. And she's like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And then they do that shit and then he's safe. And yeah, so she's a bad bitch. But the rest of the cast was kind of weird to me. So I give it a 7. Not bad. Yeah. Fan service, there was zero fan service. None whatsoever. It was a completely wholesome show with lots of holes, because of the surgeries. Anyways, the overall score is a 7.55, and I think this is my closest margin to Mal, which is a 7.22. So not too bad. Moving on. This show, I went into this show completely blind. I didn't read a synopsis. I didn't look at hardly even like the key visual that was on Crunchyroll. I was like, new show? Bet, let's watch it. And it's called Solo Leveling. And this show had a lot of debate as to whether it was actually good or not this season. Just like Freerun. I thought Freerun was amazing, but this show was also really fucking well done. And the fact that y'all are actually going to sit here and try to act like it wasn't good is outrageous. I don't think it was peak. I don't think it was like anything that's like dictating how anime is portrayed for the rest of the world forever going forward. But like, it was a good show, and for y'all to act like it wasn't a good show, get your head out of your ass. And I'm gonna tell you why. Starting with the plot summary, Sung Jin-woo is an E-rank hunter dubbed as the weakest hunter of all mankind. Pause. That's so rude. Like, who gives someone that nickname? The weakest hunter of all mankind. And he's right over there. And everyone's just like, don't talk about him. But he's like, I can hear you. Thanks, guys. Like, what's wrong with y'all? Why would you say that? I just had to stop and mention that. He's dubbed the weakest hunter of all mankind. While exploring a supposedly safe dungeon, I'm pretty sure this was supposed to be a D rank dungeon, if not a C, he and his party encounters what is an unusual tunnel leading into a deeper area. Enticed by the prospect of treasure, the group presses forward only to be confronted with horrors beyond their imagination. Miraculously, Jin-woo survives the incident and soon finds that he now has access to an interface visible only to him. This mysterious system promises him the power he has long dreamed of, but everything comes at a price. And it just wow. Minus the obvious nature of it being like a gamer type anime, which I think was a lot of people's problem with it. It's an amazing show, y'all. Like, I wasn't expecting the twist in episode 2 when, spoilers, Jin-woo, who he's basically turned into a character by the system. This really happens at the end. So season 3, he is pretty much almost killed, but at the right time, at the right moment, the trial times out and he passes the test of what I am assuming is to trust the God who has the power to, unhand this power onto him and make him into this like upgradable, supercharged character with time and patience and effort. He procures this system during the double dungeon that they encounter, and I was surprised. Like, I didn't see that coming. I, again, went into this completely blind. I was shocked. My jaw was on the floor. I think I even posted something on my personal TikTok that was just like, what the fuck? Go check out the show. We're going to continue. But yeah, I gave the plot a 9 out of 10 because, everything came at a price, and it sure did. Jin-woo got himself into some sticky ass situations, some really terrifying situations, and you'll see if he comes out on top. I think he did, but some people might disagree. The music for this show, the OP is called Level by, how do I print? Sawano Hiroyuki NZK. Sawano Hiroyuki, Level. First off, this show instantly made it to the playlist like the second I heard it. The minute I heard it, it was in that bitch. I love this song. It got me so pumped for this show. I loved how in the opening like visual during the episode, Jin-woo was like fighting to the beat of the song. I thought that was such a great touch. I was like dancing along with them. I like really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think that this was a great aspect to the show. I thought that, the visuals were super stimulating, and it just made me very excited to continue watching the show, especially after listening to that banger. Like, I never skipped it once. So yeah, I highly recommend that song. And listening to that song. And the ending song is called Request by Krage. I'm not going to call him a piece of fried chicken. I feel like that's kind of rude. But it looks like Krage. So moving on. The ending is really cool. I love the mixing choices that they made to give it that like cool, almost like virtualistic feel to it. And that was like in the first part of the song. I thought her voice is outstanding and capable of anything. I love the richness of her sound. And there's an English version of the ending song. So I thought that was also really interesting. And you can understand it really well. I thought that the original sounded just fine. So I give it a 9 for the music of Solo Leveling. Moving on to the animation. I know I said that this show isn't peak, but the animation was. the peak animation in this show. Again, jaw dropping. Every fight looked really unique and was so fun to watch unfold. Jinwoo's visual progression and design just looked so amazing in general. I'll never stop repeating myself about the animation of the show. It was everything. Probably the best animation all season. Studio A1, I dare say, reached their best animation quality with Solo Leveling. Overall, I can't imagine any of their previous works. Some notable ones are Sword Art Online, Your Lie in April, Erased, Seven Deadly Sins, Kaguya-sama Love's War, Fairy Tail, Wotakoi, and Anohana, amongst other hundreds of their previous works. I can't imagine any of those being any better than Solo Leveling, just because of the action concept of it. So, yeah. Everything looked so crispy, so clear, so concise, despite how much would be going on the screen in general. It's a 10 out of 10. It's an 11 out of 10. It's so good. I officially gave it a 10. Moving on to the characters of the show. Jinwoo's character development is an extreme understatement. He developed more he more than developed. He evolved and he overcame, especially who he used to be. And in that last episode, he was like kicking himself. He could have just laid down and died. That would have been it. And that probably would have been honestly kind of reasonable considering the situation he was in. But he didn't. He decided, fuck that. And he kept fighting, which I think was so perfect for what type of show this is, and just really portraying that he is leveling up in so many different ways, like physical, yes, but also emotional and personal. Besides physically, yeah, it was just a really great show. All the characters' designs and their personalities really came through for the show, despite it still mainly focusing on Jinwoo. All the personalities had a chain reaction, and Jinwoo absorbed every single little bit he could. He learned to be stronger in the small ways before he got his gifted powers. And I think that carried through in his personality after getting the powers that he earned. I think the character design was super cool, like I said, and I think season 2 will open up the world of their characters' personalities even more. Jinwoo's character development definitely carried this category. I mean, yeah, like there really wasn't any other notable characters in this show, maybe besides like the guy that was leading their group. His like emotional sob story, I thought it was touching but almost unnecessary, because Jinwoo, he had already reached his closure when he essentially thought he died on that platform. Yeah, he was over it. He really didn't need that. He appreciated it and he accepted it. But I really don't think he needed all that from him. And that's okay. He carried the show on his own back, all by himself, just like in those dungeons with his party that he started to establish with his other buddy. I forgot his name. So yeah, I give this category a 9.5. I feel like they threw in a touch of fan service when they had that one recruiter reach out to Hyin-cha, but nothing was really overblown or distracting to me. So I give it a 9. Nothing crazy. Just watch the show. Overall, I give it a 9.3. And I think, yeah, I think it definitely deserved that. Like, it was just, it's peak, y'all. Like, it's really peak. You gotta check it out. Like, you can't just let everyone on Twitter and socials be like, oh yeah, this show is mid, and then you don't check it out for yourself. Where's your autonomy, y'all? Like, y'all have your own opinions to make. Life is short. Like, if you don't want to watch it because you don't think you'll enjoy it, that's different than hearing someone else say, this sucks. And then you're like, yeah, it sucks. I'm not going to watch it. It's like, what? That's so silly to me. Give it a watch. Let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe we disagree. And I will forever go down in history, try to convince you to love the show, because, I mean, like, I've said enough about Jinwoo, but, you know, like, he's kind of, you know. Anyways, moving on to Dangers in my heart. Now, talk about a slow burn, y'all. I pretty much hated the show at first. Season 1, I couldn't get on board. I really when the show was first airing, I did watch and I immediately stopped after I think like halfway through episode 1. I was like, this guy is fucking weird. And as a woman, there's enough guys out there that want to hurt you and like want to take advantage of you, and probably a lot of guys that think really heinous murderous thoughts about women. And I really didn't want to watch an anime about a young boy in middle school talking about how he wants to kill like the cutest girl in his class. Like, I thought that was insane, and I couldn't appreciate it like a lot of other people could. And so yeah, it was a slow burn, and it literally took about like a third of the way through season 2 for me to be like, okay, I understand the hype, because there was a lot of hype. And maybe it's because a lot of these people read the manga. I'm not sure. If you read the manga before watching the show, let me know. I mean, like, if you didn't read the manga before the show, like, would it have made a difference to you watching it? I don't know. But getting into the plot, after an eventful winter break, Kyotaro Ichikawa and Ana Yamada they reunite. Okay, getting into the plot actually this time. After an eventful winter break, Kyotaro and Yamada reunite with a stronger bond. They continue to grow in their own ways, with Yamada taking on more challenging photo shoots and Ichikawa maturing both physically and emotionally as he tackles his affections for Yamada. However, spending time together outside of school allows for their relationship to deepen, and it becomes increasingly difficult to deny their budding romantic feelings. Grappling with these unexpected and new emotions, Ichikawa and Yamada realize that with the passage of time, their relationship is bound to change, and they must ultimately decide whether they wish to remain close friends or finally become a couple. I mean, what a great romance plot. I mean, I wasn't expecting this to unfold the way that it did, and I'm so thankful that it did. I'm really glad Ichikawa left the murderous trope way in the past. I think he dropped that like halfway through season 1, and that's when I was finally able to stay on board. I had like one foot out the door almost the whole time during season 1. And yeah, it took a long time for me to hop on board with the show, with how weird he was at first, but he really grew as a main character. Like, he started from probably what I would consider rock bottom, especially as far as like romance shows go. He was at rock bottom. Yeah, he really grew as a main character, but also just like as a middle schooler in general, he went through a lot of different processes to arrive to where he was at pretty much on his own. He didn't have someone interjecting, especially in the first season, saying like, oh yeah, you like her, duh, you're stupid, just go after her. Like, no one brought that to his attention. No one brought to his attention that he was like isolating himself from his classmates. No one told him like, hey, like, you're a weirdo, you should really work on yourself. He arrived at all of these different conclusions by himself, and I think Yamada really helped him achieve that type of realization without her, again, being direct and saying, you should really change. That's kind of weird. She would never say that because she always liked him for who he was on the inside. She kind of saw through all of that, and I thought that was really sweet. Yeah, he didn't have someone like interjecting saying, yeah, you like her and you don't really want to murder her. You actually just think she's attractive. I'm really glad that he was able to make some friends and interact more with his sister and grow as a person. And I thought it was just really well done. And the continuation of the story was perfect. I give it an 8.75. Moving on to the music category, the OP is titled Boku wa ... by Atario. I love this OP. I think her voice is so perfect for the lyrics, like for the melody of the song. And it was just really sweet. And I love how it's talking about love. I mean, I don't know this for sure. I didn't read the lyrics. I go off of the vibes, and I just know they're talking about love, possibly young love, just from the sound of it. And it was just a really cute song. I hum it all the time, and it made the playlist for sure. The ending song, Koshiteru Jibun Suda Aiseru Nda. That one's long. Koishiteru Jibun Suda Aiseru Nda. Okay, I did it. By Kohana Kohana Lam. Kohana Lam. Not my favorite ending song. All that to say, it wasn't my favorite ending song, but it's really not bad. I like all the instruments and all the sounds that they use to make it sound really fun and entertaining to listen to. And I like all the instruments and sounds that they use to make it really fun to listen to. I think I just don't really like the singer's voice all that much in this song, and that's okay. They don't all do it for me, but I know the song itself was really good. So I give it an 8.5. Moving on to the animation. I'm not going to talk too long here because it was a really simple animation, but the moments that they decided to enhance, they went to the moon and back. They animated that song. Whoa. They animated that show so splendidly. It looked amazing. Amazing is my favorite word because, I mean, it was just stellar. I mean, what else can I really say? The finale, especially, like the last episode in season 2, looked, I literally have amazing with probably 10 G's. It looked outstanding. I loved watching this show. I thought the characters' reactions in the rain scene, especially with Kyotaro and his friend Arachi fighting with the chicken fight, I thought that was really funny and done really well. And it wasn't super like etchy or perverted with the girls wearing the white shirts, like, because you know how that goes, right? And like they didn't make it to where it was like, oh my gosh, I can see your bra, blah 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 blah, you know. Yeah, the animation was really good. The rain scene was great. All of the characters' reactions in this show were just animated so brightly. It made it really fun to watch. So I give it an 8.75. The characters in this show, I've already talked about the characters a little bit. Going back just a touch, season 1 again, I think I'd rate the characters a 6. They're now at a solid 8.25 for me. The development and just standing up for each other, the way that they do it in this season, just completely make up the perfect coming of age and slice of life pick for this season. I think the characters really care a lot about each other, and that's like probably one of the more important aspects to this show. We already know who best boy and best girl is. I mean, they swept up best couple categories in weekly rating polls this season for like 6 weeks at a time, 4 weeks at a time, a long time. 4 weeks is still a month. Like for Ichikawa and Yamada to be best couple for at least a month straight is impressive. And I think it was well deserved. And they won that over established couples and active couples, a couple of kids. They play to each other's strengths so well, and I'm happy we actually get a confession at the end of season 2 versus a cliffhanger. That would have driven me insane if they had done the same vague, oh, I like him, but I don't want anyone to know it. I don't want to tell him, and I don't want to. No, we're not doing that again. Y'all are growing up. You're almost in high school. Yeah, that was perfect. That was perfectly done. And I'm glad that they're best boy and best girl. Like, they really carried the show. I mean, obviously they're the main characters, but like they really, like, especially Ichikawa, he established himself amongst the guys. And I mean, if he hadn't said anything to Arachi probably would have tried to ask her out, and like he probably would have actually had a chance versus like Ichikawa saying like there's more to her than her just being cute, you know? Like I feel like he put that piece of information into his brain, and that like probably changed his life. Like that's, I feel like when guys are aware that women are more than just bodies and pretty faces, it's like, oh wait, her personality, that's so lit. She's cool, actually. Yeah, like he made him realize that. All on his own, again, with no influencing from anyone else. Yeah, I had to talk about Arachi and Ichikawa. I think that the mangaka really took a moment to show boys, young boys, obviously, that like there's more to women than just how they look on the outside. It's about the inside that matters. And that's how it is with everyone, men and women. I think this couldn't have been done more perfectly. The characters' portrayal and their personalities, just with them being so young in the show, they really knew how to handle like the interweaving relationships. And again, it was a thumbs up. Like, yeah, I give it an 8.25. For this category, the next category, the fan service category. For the fan service category, I really felt like it was toned down compared to the first season. Um, but considering they're still in middle school, I felt like at times it was a bit much and it was kind of obnoxious and disturbing to think about grown men drawing Yamada being completely out of hand at in some moments. Like some moments it's like, okay, she's like exercising and she's stuck, you know? But then other times it's like, okay, y'all can calm down. I didn't really appreciate it that much. And yeah, like I said, it was toned down from season one. Season one really almost made me completely drop the show. I'm really glad I continued though, because season two was a lot better. And we even have Ichikawa again advocating for her, not just liking her because she's cute and pretty, but because she's a hard worker and intelligent. And I mean, he really had to counteract himself a lot, bringing that up and just advocating for the fact that she's more than just like eye candy. Um, so I give it a 7 for the fan service category because there was still quite a bit of fan service, but it wasn't like sexualized and it wasn't disgusting. It was like more just like there's a little too much of it here for their age. Yeah, a 7 overall. That's probably the lowest score in the whole show, the whole season, and I give it an 8.25. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it for the winter 2023 season. I say 2023 because it started in 2023. Saying 24 would mean that it started this year. We haven't even gotten to the winter yet, guys. So it's winter 2023 season. In my opinion, don't gag me. But, yeah, I mean, that was that. And before we move on to the spring 2024 part 2 anime look ahead, I just wanted to stop you and say thank you again for watching. If you like this episode, make sure you follow me on all my socials for polls, updates, and to interact with me. Talking with you guys, all the anime fans out there, makes my day so much better. And it just gives me more ideas of what to talk about on the podcast. You can hit me up anytime. I keep my DMs open. So yeah, we can just talk or we don't have to talk and you can just follow me and support the show. That really goes a long way as well. Now, for what you've all been waiting for, the spring 2024 part 2 anime look ahead. I'm so excited because I mean, as soon as I'm done editing all this here, I'm gonna hop on my couch and watch some of the shows that I've already started today. One of them being Spice Meets Wolf, and again, that starts today, April 1st. Lawrence is a traveling merchant selling various goods from a horse-drawn cart. One day, he arrives at a village and meets a beautiful girl with the ears and tail of an animal. Her name is Hollow the Wise Wolf, and she brings bountiful harvests. She wishes to return to her homeland, and Lawrence offers to take her. Now, the once lonely merchant and the once lonely wise wolf begin their journey north. That sounds super cute. I didn't watch the original of this show. I'm pretty sure there's an original of the show. I have not seen it before, but I'm excited to get into this because the animation, just in the key visual, looks outstanding. Looks beautiful. So I'm excited to see what happens here. The next one I'm going to cover is How to Love Your Elf Bride. That's the shortened named. Basically, it looks like Zagon, who is the most feared and evil sorcerer, is inept when it comes to social interactions. All those days studying in dark arts won't help him when he falls in love with at first sight with Nephilia, the beautiful elven slave, and spends his entire fortune to purchase her. With no clue how to talk to each other, the awkward arrangement for a bumbling sorcerer and timid elf begins. Despite her being a slave, this actually sounds pretty cute. He seems to have actually fallen in love with her, and it's not like okay, you're my slave, and now I'm going to make you love me for the rest of your life. It's like, okay, I bought you, and I'm hoping that he just like almost immediately tries to set her free. because if not, then it will be kind of awkward, I think. But I'm excited to start that one on April 4th. Next one I'm going to cover is Chillin' in Another World with level 2 super cheat powers. I might have not gotten the English translation properly on that one, but that one starts on April 8th. And basically, rejected as a hero and stranded in another world, abandoned to the far reaches of the kingdom by a cruel king who just wants him gone, Bonanza's fate looks pretty bleak. What will happen when the failed hero candidate finds himself with super cheat powers once he hits level 2? So it's like they got rid of this guy too fast and they're like, oh, you suck. I can't believe I called you here to this world. Just get out of my face. They didn't even give him a chance to prove himself. And turns out he's probably going to be the world's best thief there ever was. So we'll check that out. Next one I'm going to also be checking out this season is Studio Apartment, Good Lighting, Angel Included. That one starts on April 6th. And it's looking like Tokumitsu is a high schooler who is living all alone, but things take an unexpected turn when a girl named Towa shows up on his balcony. Forgive me if I'm wrong, Towa means angel, right? Either way, not only is she incredibly pure and sweet, but there's something different about her, something divine. And I think that's all I have written here. And that sounds really interesting. I'll be watching that as well. It looks really cute from the visual. Yeah, I'm excited to watch that one. The next one that I'm really excited to watch is Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night. I think this one's going to give Oshinoko type vibes. I love idol series, like I've said before, and this one seems to be about the young artist Yoru, who has been on hiatus ever since a certain incident. In reality, her name is Mahiru, and she recently became traumatized by the pressure of being special, and instead decided to live a normal standard high school life. However, things change when she meets former idol Kano. The strong-minded Kano graduated from center position in a certain idol group where she was known as Nonoka. Along with VTuber Kiwi and talented musician May, the girls come together. So, I mean, if this is going to be like a type of idol series where they're all kind of like a ragtag group and then they come together and they're like either underground being awesome or like above ground and being awesome, that would be really interesting to see. Like I said, love freaking idol series. So that'd be really, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Vampire Dormitory. This one, I don't think I also talked about this one. Cross-dressing girl and doting vampires' dangerous cohabitation is about to begin. After losing her parents and being abandoned by her relatives, Mito is left all alone in the world. When she's kicked out of the restaurant where she works with no money and no place to live, she's taken in by Ruka, a vampire, in exchange for giving Ruka her blood and his food. What is quote-unquote food? I'm a little worried. She ends up living with him in a boys' dormitory full of beautiful boys with unique personalities. Okay, this one kind of reminds me of The Wallflower. Just by the synopsis, how there's like a girl and she's kind of like emo and scary and disturbing, and her aunt's like gonna pay all these like super handsome guys to live there and try to like make her normal. Again, that's a different anime. Vampire Dormitory starts April 7th, and I'm super pumped for that one. It sounds really funny. Astro Note. This is one that I'm gonna stop saying I'm excited for all of these because like there's so many. My eagerness is going to come through regardless. Astro Note. Takumi, a gifted chef, was just let go from his job. He lands a gig at an old boarding house called Astroso, but hesitates to accept after learning he must also live there full time. That is until he meets the beautiful and charming caretaker Mira, and he's sold. The two begin to work together and their connection deepens, but Mira has a secret. She isn't from this world. Oh, I didn't see that coming, even just with the synopsis. I don't know anything about this show. Yeah, this is one that I'm probably not going to drop. starts April 5th. Most of these I'm probably not going to drop, which just means I don't have a social life anymore. But that's okay. I have this. And I'm pumped, regardless. Next one is called Kai to Otome to Kami Kakushi, Mysterious Disappearances. I think that's what the shortened translation title is. So Kai to Otome to Kami Kakushi, which literally translates to mysteries, maidens, and mysterious disappearances. Okay, yeah, so there it is. To Kami Kakushi, mysterious. Okay, I see. Sumireko is an aspiring novelist who loves mysteries and works at a bookstore with a boy named Ren Arashino. They pass the time with aimless conversations. However, Arashino has a secret that Sumireko doesn't know. Some of the ghost stories, urban legends, and modern day ghosts that people talk about are real. Okay, that one starts April 10th. That one seems interesting, and we'll see how it goes. Next up, this one, I've heard a lot of bustle about this one on the socials, called Kaiju number 8. This is probably going to be like one of the action ones this season. And I just have a short little clip here saying a man working a job far removed from his childhood dreams gets wrapped up in an unexpected situation. Becoming a monster, he aims again to fulfill his lifelong dream. Okay, so Monster Man wants to live his best life. I'll take it. Next up, we got, let's see, which one do I want to pick next? Because I still have like 5 more that I'm going to be watching this season. We got Tadaima Okaeri. Masaki Fujiyoshi is a stay-at-home spouse and parent. He has fought long and hard with feelings of being a burden to his loving husband, Hiromu, due to his status as an Omega. We're bringing Omegaverse into the anime finally? Oh, this might be a little spicy for some people. Okay. If you know anything about Omegaverse, this is not going to be PG. And it's probably not going to be PG-13. And so, yeah, due to his status as an Omega and the difficulty they face to achieve this domesticness. When their son Hikari was born, oh yeah, okay, this is going to be a little weird. When their son Hikari was born, the family moved to an area better suited to raising children. Despite their newfound domestic bliss, the family's ties to their past are still in tatters. There are people they left behind to pursue the creation of their happy family, and when they begin to return, Masaki and Himuru aren't quite sure they have good intentions. Okay. Wow, I wasn't expecting this to be an Omegaverse story. I almost wish I hadn't read the synopsis because it would have been that much funnier of a shock. I'm still pretty shocked. And if you couldn't tell, this is a BL story. Masaki is a man, and it seems like Hiromu is also a man. I almost said Hikari, that is their son. Whoops. Yeah, Masaki and Hiromu. Yeah, that's gonna be a little interesting. I can't imagine this not being funny, and that comes out April 8th. So we got about a week, and we'll see how this goes. Next up, let's see, where do I want to go? Duke of Death and His Maid. This one I'll be watching, but I might not cover it on the show because I still haven't caught up. I don't even think I finished season 2 of Duke of Death and His Maid. So this might be one that I just watch on my own time, and I'll probably tweet about it. So hit me up on Anime Hime Podcast online if you are interested in hearing my opinions on this. Girls Band Cry is the next show that I'll be watching. That one comes out April 5th. Duke of Death and His Maid comes out April 7th as well. Girls Band Cry. Nina Iseri drops out of high school in her second year and aims to enter a university while working alone in Tokyo. Another girl is betrayed by her friends and doesn't know what to do. Another girl is abandoned by her parents and tries to survive in the city by doing part-time jobs. This world lets us all down all the time. Nothing goes as planned, but we want something that we continue to like. We want something that we can continue to like. We believe there's a place we belong, and that's why we sing. Mood. I like it. Okay. Girls Band Cry. April 5th. That's on my watch list. I probably won't be dropping this. I love all the shows about music and like the performing industry, the entertainment industry. Those are all, they have me enraptured for life. So I'll be finishing this one as well as Jellyfish Can Stay the Night. The next one is called Oi Tonbo. That one starts April 6th as well. Igarashi was disqualified as a pro golfer after a certain incident, quote unquote incident. It makes me sound like he did that shit on purpose, whatever it was, and thus moves on to Kagoshima Prefecture's Tokata Islands to step out of the limelight. It's kind of giving Barakamon, yeah, same vibe. Steps out of the limelight on these islands known as Japan's last unexplored wilderness. He encounters a naive girl named Tonbo. Okay. Interesting. I like it. I don't think I'll drop this one. I didn't golf a whole lot growing up. My dad took me to like driving ranges and we would play mini golf, and that was pretty much it. But I do like sports anime, and I've never seen a sports anime about golfing. So this will be good. This will be real good. Next one, we got The Banished Former Hero Lives as He Pleases, which also starts today, April 1st. So I'll be watching that as soon as I'm done editing. I might even take a quick break after recording and just hop into that because that sounds super cute. I love shows about like living your best life after you've been given a second chance, because I think it's just a message that like you don't have a second chance. You're alive right now. Go live the life you want to live. Don't wait to die. That would be miserable. Like, imagine being so easily influenced that you think that there is a potential that you would get a second life, and then you can live your best life, and then turns out you don't get anything. That sounds awful. I would be mad. But this show is about a deemed good for nothing man who has a low level lack, who had, okay, whoa. The banished former hero lives as he pleases. Deemed a good for nothing for his low level and lack of a God-given gift, Alan is stripped of his noble status and banished from the Duchy of Westfeld. But Alan has a secret. He was a great hero in a previous life, so it's an isekai fantasy? He's re-isekai'd into another fantasy world. Lucky. And he's thrilled for the chance to finally live the way he pleases. His drama-free existence, however, is soon interrupted by a desperate encounter with his ex-fiancée. Oh God. As a former hero who still possesses the incredible powers from his past life, also lucky. What the hell? Alan can't ignore someone in need, no matter how much he might like to. So Alan's a good guy, and he's banished, but he's still a hero. I like it. I'll be here for it. And then we got the two obvious picks. Oh, wait, no, I missed one. We have one more. It is A Condition Called Love, coming out April 4th in 3 days. I'm excited for this one. Hotaru is a 16-year-old high school first year who's always been ambivalent about love, preferring to have a lively life with her family and friends. So when she sees her schoolmate Hananoi-kun sitting in the snow after a messy public breakup, she thinks nothing of offering to share her umbrella. But when he asks her out in the middle of her classroom the next day, she can't help but feel like her life is about to change in a big way. Yeah, I can see that happening. That's pretty ballsy. You don't even know anything about the girl and you want to date her the next day. Sometimes an umbrella is all you need. Sometimes that's all it takes. And then, now moving on to the two obvious picks that I have to continue. I mean, I'm obviously repping a My Hero shirt today. We got My Hero Season 7 coming out May 4th. Unfortunate. I still will probably be covering My Hero and Demon Slayer. Yeah, I probably will just pick it right up with all of my shows that I'm going to be covering for you guys week by week. Yeah, My Hero Season 7, quick little blip about what it will be about is that with the young hero students contemplating whether they can save villains, the pro heroes come together with a plan to divide and conquer the villains' side as, oh, okay, they want to divide and conquer the villain's side as the war between both sides determined to decide the fate of the world. I don't really like how that was written out, but they're just going to be basically continuing the war arc, and we're going to see how it plays out. I really hope it plays out well. And finally, of course, we got Demon Slayer Hashira training arc, May 12th. I am obviously pumped. If you know anything about me on my socials, on my Twitter account specifically, Mitsuri is my profile picture. She is my account, little mascot, and I love her. I think I kin her, honestly, just a little bit. She is my girl. Love her girls for death. You know, she's so cute, and I love everything about her. Basically, Tanjiro fights the demon Han Tengu, so they'll probably pick right up with that, and just recap that ending real quick in the first episode. And while the Hashira prepare for a final battle against Muzan Kibutsuji. So yeah, real straightforward. They're preparing for their final battle. Final battle. Wait, so it's gonna end soon? We're probably gonna get one more season after this. They'll probably draw that season out for like 3 seasons and 2 movies, but it's ending. No. Okay, final battle against Muzan. I don't know who I want to win. Muzan had a miserable life. He's been looking for Nezuko his entire lifetime. Like, obviously I love Nezuko and her brother and everyone on the Demon Slayer side, so I want them to win. But Muzan, he's not really all that bad. Let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe it's just me. I'm not like attracted to him or anything. I'm not like one of those Mahito lovers. I think Mahito's evil and he's not cute. He looks smelly. He looks disturbed. But Muzan, I don't know. He's not like, he's a demon, so I guess by nature, according to the show, he's bad. But you let me know in the comments. I don't know. I'm kind of on the I'm on the fence about him. And that's really all I got for today's episode. I, again, really appreciate tuning in. I really appreciate you tuning in. Wow, words are so hard. And tune in next week for another episode. This next episode, it's probably going to be a little long, but I want to cover everything that I can. So stay tuned for more. Peace out, y'all. Thank you. Bye.